At exactly 3 a.m., the CCTV camera in Corridor C flickered, skipped 3 frames, and then showed something that should not have been there. The building was an old municipal records office, the kind that smelled like paper dust and stale coffee even years after it closed. For months, the night guard had complained about the cameras glitching at the same hour, every morning, without fail. IT blamed outdated wiring. Management blamed boredom. No one blamed the shadows that moved where shadows could not exist. On the night the footage went viral, the guard was a new hire named Daniel Price. He was 26, underpaid, and painfully alert because he had already drunk too much vending machine coffee. At 2:58 a.m., Daniel leaned back in his chair, stretched, and stared at the wall of monitors like a man waiting for a storm he had been warned about but never believed. Corridor C was empty, just as it always was. Long, narrow, lined with filing cabinets and a single exit sign glowing a sickly green at the far end. The camera angle was fixed, slightly tilted, with a faint reflection of the emergency light ghosting across the lens. The timestamp ticked forward, 2 hours 59 minutes and 57 seconds. 2 hours 59 minutes and 58 seconds. 2 hours 59 minutes and 59 seconds. At 3 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds, the lights in the corridor dimmed, not enough to trigger alarms, just enough to make the shadows thicken. The camera stuttered. Static crawled across the screen like ants. Then the image stabilized. Daniel frowned. Something was standing near the cabinets, halfway down the hall. It had not walked in. It had simply appeared, as if the video had been edited and someone had forgotten to smooth the cut. The figure was tall, too tall, its head almost brushing the ceiling tiles. Its outline shimmered, blurring and sharpening in slow pulses, like a bad compression artifact. Daniel leaned forward, squinting. The thing had no face, only a suggestion of one, an oval where features should have been, darker than the surrounding darkness. His first thought was a reflection. His second was a prank. His third never finished forming, because the figure moved. It did not walk. Its feet remained perfectly still as its upper body slid forward, gliding a few inches closer to the camera. The cabinets behind it warped, bending inward as if the air itself were folding. Daniel's hand hovered over the radio. "Control to Night Patrol," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. No response. He checked the other monitors. Every corridor, every stairwell, every lobby was empty and calm. Only Corridor C showed the anomaly. The figure tilted its head. The motion was wrong, like a puppet pulled by an uncertain string. The tilt stopped, reversed, then corrected itself, as if the thing was learning how gravity worked. The timestamp continued to run. 3 hours 0 minutes and 12 seconds. 3 hours 0 minutes and 13 seconds. Daniel swallowed. He told himself to look away, to mark the incident and move on. Instead, he watched. The figure raised one arm. It was too long, bending at angles arms were not meant to bend. The hand, if it was a hand, pressed against the cabinet door. Metal rippled like water. A file drawer slid open on its own, papers fluttering out and settling on the floor without sound. That was when the camera audio spiked. A low hum bled into the feed, just at the edge of hearing, like a distant transformer. Beneath it, something else layered itself, a rhythm that was almost breathing but not quite. Daniel felt the hair on his arms lift. The sound was not coming from the corridor. It was coming from the camera. "Hello," he whispered, forgetting protocol, forgetting sense. On the screen, the faceless head turned toward the camera. For a moment, the dark oval seemed to deepen, stretching, as if it were opening its eyes. The hum swelled. The timestamp glitched, skipping backward 2 seconds, then, lurching forward 5. The figure took another impossible step, closing half the distance to the lens without crossing the space between. Daniel pushed back from the desk, heart hammering. He grabbed his phone and started recording the monitor, hands shaking. He needed proof, needed something solid to anchor the fear clawing up his spine. The thing paused, its head cocked again, more precise this time. It was aware of being watched. Slowly, deliberately, it lifted its other arm and pointed directly at the camera. The screen went black. For 3 seconds, every monitor in the room showed static. Then the feeds returned, normal and empty. Corridor C was just a corridor again, papers neatly inside closed drawers, no sign of disturbance. The timestamp read 3 hours 1 minute and 2 seconds. Daniel sat frozen, listening to his own breathing. He checked his phone. The video was there, blurry and tilted, capturing the last moments before the blackout. The hum was louder on playback, the breathing rhythm clearer. Under it all, barely audible, was a whisper that did not sound like a language but felt like intention. By the end of his shift, Daniel had uploaded the clip anonymously to a forum known for debunking strange footage. He expected laughter, explanations, relief. What he got was attention. The video spread fast. Frame-by-frame analyses popped up within hours. Some claimed digital artifacting. Others pointed out inconsistencies in the lighting. A few noticed something else entirely. At exactly 3 hours 0 minutes and 17 seconds, when the figure pointed, a reflection appeared in the camera lens. It was not the corridor. It was the security office. The reflection showed Daniel at his desk, phone raised, eyes wide. Behind him, standing just out of frame, was a tall blur, its faceless head angled toward him. Daniel did not see the comments right away. He slept through most of the day, exhaustion dragging him into a dreamless void. When he woke, it was 2:47 a.m., 15 minutes before his next shift. His phone buzzed with notifications. Messages from strangers. Missed calls from an unknown number. One text stood out, sent at exactly 3 p.m. It read, "It sees you when you watch." Daniel laughed it off, nerves fraying. He dressed and drove to work, the city empty and slick with rain. The building loomed ahead, dark windows reflecting his headlights like blind eyes. Inside, everything felt wrong. The air was colder than usual. The hum of the monitors sounded louder, harsher. Daniel took his seat and tried not to think about reflections. At 2:58 a.m., his phone vibrated again. A new message, no sender. "Do not look away." Daniel's gaze snapped to Corridor C. The corridor was empty. He exhaled, a shaky sound. The timestamp ticked closer. 2 hours 59 minutes and 50 seconds. 2 hours 59 minutes and 55 seconds. At 3 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds, the lights dimmed. This time, the figure did not appear halfway down the hall. This time, it was right in front of the camera. The lens filled with darkness, with the suggestion of a face pressed too close, warping the image. The hum roared. The breathing rhythm synced with Daniel's own, forcing his chest to rise and fall in time. On the screen, within the dark oval, something shifted. Lines formed, pale and wet, sketching the hint of a smile. Daniel screamed and tore his eyes away, knocking his chair over as he scrambled backward. He ran for the door, heart bursting, vision tunneling. Behind him, the monitors clicked off, one by one, plunging the room into silence. The security footage recovered later showed Daniel running, tripping, falling. It showed the door to the office closing on its own. It showed Corridor C's camera turning, just slightly, as if adjusting its view. At exactly 3 a.m., the timestamp froze. And in the final frame, reflected in the dark glass of the monitor, the phantom stood alone, watching the place where Daniel had been, waiting patiently for the next set of eyes. Weeks later, investigators labeled Daniel Price missing, presumed fled. The building was sealed, the cameras archived, the incident filed under equipment failure. But the footage never truly disappeared. Copies surfaced on obscure channels, reposted with dramatic titles and countdowns to the 3-minute mark. Viewers swore they felt watched while playing it, swore their screens reflected rooms that were not their own. A pattern emerged. Everyone who watched past 3 a.m. reported the same thing. Their cameras glitched. Their reflections lagged. Shadows leaned where walls were flat. Some heard the hum through powered-off speakers. Some noticed a tall blur standing just outside their frame, always just outside, never quite centered. The comments filled with jokes, then fear, then silence. Accounts went inactive. Channels deleted themselves without explanation. A few last messages appeared, time-stamped at impossible hours, repeating the same warning in different languages. It learns through lenses. On the archived master file, a detail went unnoticed for months. In the final reflection, behind the phantom, another shape had begun to form. Smaller, human, its outline flickered, unstable, like a copy struggling to render. Daniel Price's outline. The last update to the file occurred at exactly 3 a.m., from an unknown location, adding one more frame to the end of the footage. In that frame, the phantom had turned away from the camera. And it was smiling, as if it had finally found someone to replace it. If you are watching this now, check the timestamp. Notice the flicker. Notice how your reflection does not quite match your movement. Do not rewind. Do not pause. When the clock reaches 3 a.m., the camera will be watching you back, and something will be learning how to stand. Remember, the phantom prefers patience, darkness, quiet rooms, open eyes, steady breathing, and viewers who believe footage cannot ever reach through glass. It already has.